Did you know that your feet are actually considered the second heart of your body? And if you are over 60, ignoring them is like ignoring the very foundation of your entire cardiovascular system. Most people believe that cold toes or a bit of numbness are just inevitable parts of getting older, but the truth is far more startling. Your feet are the furthest point from your heart, and they serve as the early warning system for your entire body's health, often showing signs of life threatening circulation issues years before they manifest elsewhere. Today, we are going to explore why foot care matters more than you ever imagined, and I am going to share the exact drink you can prepare at home to flood your legs with oxygen, rich blood, reversing the heavy leg sensation and restoring the warmth and vitality you thought was gone forever. To understand why your feet are so critical, we have to look at the physics of the human body because as we age, our heart has to work significantly harder to fight gravity and pump blood down those long pathways to our toes and, more importantly, back up again. This is where the concept of the second heart comes in, referring to your calf muscles and the complex vascular network in your feet that must act as a mechanical pump to return blood to your chest. If this pump fails, or if the pipes your arteries become narrowed by plaque in a process called atherosclerosis, your feet are the first to suffer from what we call biological starvation. This starvation doesn't happen all at once. It starts with subtle warning signs that most seniors dismiss. You might notice that the skin on your feet is becoming thinner, perhaps looking a bit shiny or tight, or you might realize that the hair that used to grow on your toes or shins has completely vanished. These aren't just cosmetic changes. They are clear signals that the hair follicles and skin cells are no longer receiving enough nutrients to survive. As we dive deeper into this, we have to talk about the temperature of your extremities because if you find yourself wearing thick socks even in the summer, or if you notice that one foot is consistently colder than the other, your body is telling you that the circulation in your capillaries is shutting down. This leads us to a dangerous condition known as peripheral artery disease, where the blood flow is so restricted that even a tiny scratch or a blister from a poorly fitting shoe can turn into a chronic, non-healing ulcer. For someone over 60, a small foot wound that won't heal is a medical emergency in slow motion. Yet so many people wait until the pain is unbearable to seek help. The pain itself changes over time. It might start as a dull ache when you walk, known as intermittent claudication, which miraculously disappears when you sit down. This is your body's way of telling you that your muscles have enough oxygen for resting, but not enough for movement. If you ignore this, the pain eventually starts happening even when you are lying in bed, often waking you up in the middle of the night with a burning or stabbing sensation that only feels better if you dangle your feet over the edge of the mattress. This brings us to the miracle of nitric oxide and how we can use specific dietary choices to force those narrow vessels to open back up. Nitric oxide is a gas naturally produced in your endothelium, the inner lining of your blood vessels, and its primary job is to tell the smooth muscle of your arteries to relax and dilate, a process called vasodilation. As we age, our body's ability to produce this life-saving gas drops by nearly 50%, which is why we must supplement it through what we eat and drink. The specific drink I want you to start making today centers around 3 powerhouse ingredients: red beets, citrus fruits like oranges or lemons, and fresh ginger root. Red beets are one of the most concentrated sources of inorganic nitrates on the planet. When you consume them, a fascinating chemical reaction begins in your mouth where the bacteria in your saliva convert those nitrates into nitrites, which your body then transforms into nitric oxide. This isn't a temporary fix, it's a systemic biological upgrade. By combining the beets with citrus, you are adding vitamin C and bioflavonoids that prevent the nitric oxide from breaking down too quickly, essentially extending the shelf life of the vasodilation effect in your bloodstream. Then, we add ginger, which acts as a natural anti-inflammatory agent, reducing the swelling in the vessel walls that often restricts flow. If you drink this tonic on an empty stomach in the morning, you are essentially priming the pump for the rest of the day, ensuring that when you stand up and start moving, your second heart has the chemical support it needs to function. But nutrition is only half of the equation because we also need to address the mechanical side of foot care. Many seniors make the mistake of buying shoes that are too tight, not realizing that feet actually spread and grow slightly as the ligaments lose elasticity over time. A shoe that is even slightly too narrow can compress the dorsal artery on the top of your foot, further starving the toes of blood. You should always check your feet at the end of the day when they are at their largest, looking for pitting edema, which is when you press your finger into your ankle and the indentation stays there for several seconds. This is a sign of fluid retention and poor venous return, meaning your second heart isn't pumping hard enough. To fix this mechanically, I recommend a technique called interval walking or vascular calisthenics, where you walk at a brisk pace until you feel that first hint of tightness in your calves, then stop and perform a series of ankle circles and toe flexes before continuing. This movement pushes the blood out of the small valves in your feet and forces it back toward your heart, preventing the pooling that leads to varicose veins and blood clots. We must also talk about the what not to do section of foot care, specifically the dangers of high sugar intake. When your blood sugar is chronically elevated, it creates what are called advanced glycation end products, which essentially caramelize the proteins in your blood vessels, making them stiff and brittle. This stiffness prevents the vessels from dilating even when nitric oxide is present. This is why diabetics often suffer from neuropathy, a terrifying condition where the nerves in the feet die off because they haven't had a breath of fresh blood in months. If you feel tingling, like pins and needles, or if your feet feel fuzzy when you walk, your nerves are screaming for oxygen. By switching from sugary morning cereals to our nitric oxide-rich drink, you are hitting the reset button on this process. Another critical aspect is hydration. Blood that is dehydrated becomes thick and viscous, making it much harder for the heart to push through the tiny vessels in your feet. Think of it like trying to pump cold molasses through a straw versus pumping water. You need to ensure you are drinking enough pure water alongside your beet tonic to keep the blood consistency optimal. You should also be mindful of your toenails. As circulation slows, toenails often become thick, yellow, and brittle because the nail bed isn't getting the nutrients required for healthy growth. While this might seem like a minor issue, these thick nails can press into the skin and cause infections that your body can't fight off due to the lack of white blood cells reaching the area. Proper foot care after 60 isn't a luxury. It is a fundamental survival strategy that determines whether you will be mobile and independent in your 70s and 80s, or if you will be sidelined by chronic pain. It is about checking between your toes every single night for cracks or fungal infections that could provide an entry point for bacteria. It is about choosing moisture, wicking socks that don't have tight elastic bands at the top, which can act like a tourniquet and cut off the very circulation we are trying to improve. Remember, your feet carry the entire weight of your world, and they do so while being the most neglected part of the human anatomy. By giving them the right nutrients, the right movement, and the right daily attention, you are not just caring for your feet. You are protecting your heart and extending your life. In summary, your feet are the second heart of your body, and their health is a direct reflection of your overall cardiovascular state. So pay close attention to signs like coldness, numbness, or skin changes. By consuming a daily drink rich in nitrates from beets and staying active with interval walking, you can dramatically increase blood flow and maintain your mobility for years to come. If you found this information valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let me know in the comments what topic you want to see next.